I am 32 years old, a factory worker. My work had been stagnant for a long time, and eventually I could no longer afford the rent of the place I lived in. I had no choice but to move out. That was when I saw the advertisement. A large house in one of the most well-known neighborhoods of the city, for the price of a single room. I stared at the screen for a long time, convinced it had to be a mistake. Finally, I called the number. An old man answered. His voice was dry and distant. He gave me the address and said nothing more. When I arrived, he was already waiting at the door. His name was Max. He looked to be 81 or 82 years old, his skin deeply wrinkled, his eyes sharp and penetrating, as if they could see straight through a person. I greeted him, but he didn't respond. Instead, he unlocked the door with a large iron key and stepped aside. The house was ancient. The floors and stairs were covered in cracked mosaics that crunched beneath my feet with every step. A musty smell of dampness filled the air. The ceilings were unnaturally high, disappearing into shadows. Spiderwebs hung down like forgotten decorations. Max finally spoke, his voice husky and low. "Don't treat this place like your own home," he said. "Old houses don't like noise. If you make too much of it, the house will answer you." I didn't understand what he meant. I tried to smile, but the seriousness in his face frightened me. I mentioned the contract. Max waved his hand dismissively. "It doesn't want paperwork." The rent was absurdly cheap. I didn't argue. When I reached for my wallet, he stopped me. "At the end of the month." Before leaving, Max paused in front of the large wooden closet in the bedroom. He ran his thin hand over its doors, almost tenderly, as if stroking an animal. "Hang your clothes properly," he said softly, "and don't leave them empty." Then he left. I didn't have many belongings, but unpacking still took until nightfall. When darkness came, the air inside the house changed. It grew heavy, oppressive, as if the walls were breathing. That night I lay in bed listening to the creaks and knocks of the house. It felt as though the walls and doors were whispering to one another. Just as I began to drift off, the air in the room suddenly turned icy. A sound came from the closet, metal scraping metal. It was as if a hanger was sliding, millimeter by millimeter, along the rod. My heart raced. The closet doors slowly opened on their own. The coats I had hung there began to swell, as if filled with something unseen. They swayed gently, though there was no wind. The room was silent except for the faint clinking of hangers being moved, one by one, making space. I prayed under my breath. Then a voice came from the corner of the room. It sounded like Max's voice, but hollow, distant, stripped of warmth. "Did you leave the bottom of the closet empty?" I couldn't move. I watched as the sleeves of a black coat stretched outward, inching toward my bed. Morning finally came. With shaking hands, I shut the closet doors. The hangers were still. The black coat was gone. I fled the house. Outside, even the cool morning air couldn't erase the heavy stench clinging to the walls. Max appeared at the end of the alley, as if summoned by my fear. He didn't look surprised to see me. "You're pale," he said, "like chalk." I told him what had happened. He listened without blinking. "I warned you," he said calmly. "If you leave that space empty, someone will come to fill it. A coat isn't just a coat, it's an invitation." "What should I do?" I whispered. He placed his hand on my shoulder. The cold seeped through my jacket and into my bones. "Break the space," he said. "Boxes, shoes, anything. Don't leave a straight, empty path beneath the clothes. And remember, if you hear something in this house, don't ask who's there. If it answers, you won't leave." I followed his instructions. That night, after stacking boxes beneath the hanging clothes, the sounds returned, but angrier. The boxes shook violently, as if something was kicking them from inside the closet. A hand emerged from the sleeve of the black coat, long fingers, dry and blackened, clawing to reclaim its space. A knock came at the door. 3 slow knocks. I asked who it was. Max's voice answered, "If a guest doesn't like its place, it will move closer." I didn't open the door. I prayed until dawn. In the morning, the boxes were shredded. My clothes lay scattered. Scratched into the metal rod of the closet were 3 words, "Get out of here." That's when I noticed the gap behind the closet. It wasn't attached to the wall. I pushed it aside. Behind it was a hidden room. Inside were human skeletons, old luggage, torn clothing. Among the debris lay a yellowed newspaper. On its front page was a photograph of Max, decades younger. The headline read, "Dangerous Psychopath, Still at Large." My hands shook as I dialed the police. Behind me, the closet door slowly creaked open again.